setting up Russ at the short line on forehand. Steve is setting up Russ at the short line on backhand. Steve is setting up Russ at the receiving line on backhand. Steve is setting up Russ at the receiving line on forehand. Steve is setting up Russ directly off the back wall on forehand. Steve is setting up Russ directly off the back wall on forehand. On backhand. Steve is setting up Russ off the side wall on backhand. Steve is setting up Russ off the side wall on forehand. Steve is setting up backhand setups to backhand side off court. Steve is setting up Russ for short ceiling ball setups on backhand. Steve is setting up Russ for short ceiling ball setups on forehand. Steve is setting up Russ from backcourt, setups up front on forehand. Steve is setting up Russ from backcourt, setups up front on backhand.